This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and around the world on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and our growing family of broadcast land stations, as well as satellite distributors. If you'd like to give us a call, 1-800-610-7035. Email is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. I've got a question for you, or no, it's not a question, it's a statement of fact. Nuclear terrorists are currently blowing up parts of Pakistan's nuclear bases. Now, what's to stop them from coming to the U.S. or Canada and melting down New York's Indian Point power plant or blowing up San Francisco's Sandia nuclear weapons lab? Well, according to recognized expert, our guest this hour, Robert Gleason, author of Nuclear Terrorist, very little. Isn't that scary? Well, I'll tell you, I found it very interesting when I read the information on this gentleman, and we had to have him here on the X-Zone. He is the best-selling author of End of Days, a highly regarded expert on nuclear terrorism who has worked for 40 years in the New York book industry. An executive editor at Tor Forge Books, he has published many scientists, politicians, and military experts. He starred in and hosted a 2-hour History Channel special, Prophets of Doom, which was largely devoted to nuclear terrorism and has discussed the subject on many national TV and radio shows. Joining me now this hour to talk about nuclear terrorism is Robert Gleason. And Robert, welcome to the X-Zone.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
You were discussing something very interesting with me before we went on air about the phrase nuclear terrorism. And I was wondering if you'd share it with our listeners.
Yeah, when I was doing research for End of Day, the novel End of Days, it was a nuclear terrorism scenario devised by Herman Kahn. And Kahn said back, 60 years ago, and he said that he thought this was the most frightening of all the nuclear scenarios. There's some really skilled, really smart, well-funded, well-organized nuclear terrorists could set off some nukes and create the illusion that the great powers were nuking each other. Then, in reality, the great powers would start to nuke each other. And he said, and a lot of nuclear experts had said, if you wanted to create a scenario for a real nuclear Armageddon, that was the most plausible and the most persuasive of all the scenarios. It was really, and so I was writing a novel based on this, and one of the things I couldn't find anything. I was researching. I couldn't find anything on nuclear terrorism. Nuclear terrorism was just a phrase. Nobody had ever, people would throw it around and bandy it around, but nobody ever talked about, could the nuclear terrorists get enough nuclear materials to put a weapon together? Who would finance them? How would it be transported? All that. What would be the technology like? And nobody wrote anything about that. And so I finally did a lot of research, and I got the book, and it was successful, and it got great reviews. And I'm in my day job in the real world, I'm a book editor,
Right.
and so I tried to, and I've worked with a lot of experts in different fields. I tried to commission a book on nuclear terrorism. I couldn't get anybody to bite, and so I was obsessed enough, and I'd picked up a lot of stuff over a period of about a decade.
Mm-hmm.
That I picked up enough information. I had some insights, so I thought I could write the book. And I was a little naive. It took me another 10, 12 years to actually wrap it up. But it was the subject matter was really quite scary, and the situation is getting a lot worse. And the tragedy is we not only don't do anything about it, the Pentagon refuses to study nuclear terrorism. It's clearly a military national security issue that President Obama says it's the most dangerous issue, facing the United States. The Pentagon refuses to study it.
Why?
I've asked that. I've known, I've worked with a couple of 4-star generals, one general who's in charge of all U.S. Special Forces worldwide, a couple of former defense secretaries, a lot of Special Forces guys, and one guy taught at the General Staff College, and I always asked all of them, could you get me an unclassified study on nuclear terrorism? None of them could find one. And so, it's conceivable that the Pentagon once studied it, and there may be a study, but if it exists, it's buried so deep into the bowels of the Pentagon, it might as well not exist. Nobody's ever heard of it. And I asked one of the guys, I said, why isn't you guys won't study it? And the guy said to me, it's too frightening. And I said, come on, you guys are soldiers.
Yeah, exactly.
You go in and you charge intersecting machine gun fire. You can't be afraid of that.
Robert, stand by. We've got to take it.
You got to know.
Robert, we've got to take a 2-minute commercial break. Please stand by. Exonation Robert Gleason is our special guest this hour. Sure. When we come back, we're going to be talking more about the nuclear terrorist. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. Don't go away. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, aguidinglight, spelled LITE.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Welcome back, everyone. My guest this hour is Robert Gleason. He's the author of The Nuclear Terrorist, and his website is www.thenuclearterrorist.com. And if you go to his website, there's actually a 7-minute clip of Rob doing the History Channel special that he was the host guru of. And I'm telling you, after the show, I'm going to go watch it, and I invite everyone else to visit this man's site because he's making a lot of sense. And he's raising a lot of excellent questions. And Rob, let me ask you this. Are nuclear terrorists wreaking havoc in the world today as you and I speak?
There's some, and this is fairly new. It's only in the current incarnation. There's two groups. They're only about 7 years old. One is the Taliban Pakistan, known as the Pakistani Taliban, and the other is Lashkar-e-Taiba. They're both in Pakistan. They were both created by the Pakistan military and the Pakistan intelligence services in order to fight India in the Kashmir and Jammu. But it's again, they created the Indian military, the Pakistani military created a Frankenstein monster they really can't control, and yet they still get a lot of support from the Pakistani government. Lashkar, which specializes in attacking India. It gets a significant amount from the Pakistani government. The other one, starting around 2006, 2007, the TTP, they turned around and bit the dog that fed them. They started attacking Pakistani sites, and their goal is to destabilize the Pakistani government, have an Islamist takeover, and they stated these things publicly. I'm not speculating. They want to get their hands on Pakistan's nukes and eventually install Sharia law. They're very scary, and the Pakistani government can't even do anything to control them. But they've blown up the most heavily fortified army base in Pakistan was called Rawalpindi, and they went in and they just blew that thing. They did an enormous amount of damage. That they went in and they attacked the Wak Cantonment nuclear ordnance plant, which assembled nuclear weapons, and they went in there and they killed 59 soldiers and wounded and other people and wounded 70, and then they blew up parts of it and eventually blew themselves up.
Unreal.
But they're believed to have blown up, attacked and blown up parts of 4 or 5 other sites, which we perceive to be nuclear sites as well as military sites, and they said they did try to come here in 2010. They had a failed attack in Times Square in the United States, and they've said they made a big announcement in 2012, said they were coming to the United States, and part of there is by their lights, there's a logic to coming here and doing things. And because what they hope is they ultimately want to destabilize the Islamabad government. And if they come here and let's say they melted down Indian Point, and you put 20 million people in jeopardy because that's close. That's 35 miles from Midtown Manhattan. Mm-hmm. It's a lot closer to the Bronx. Suppose Lashkar did the same thing. They had done the Mumbai attack, that horrible Mumbai attack in 2008. Suppose they took out some Indian nuclear facilities. Suppose they went and they took out the Sandia Nuclear Weapons Lab, which is on the very edge of San Francisco. It'd be a horrible disaster. You're going to evacuate all the city by the bay, but the United States and India probably would retaliate against Pakistan, which has sponsored these groups. Our retaliation would probably be severe enough that we might end up destabilizing Islamabad. Lord knows we destabilized Iraq.